Today I want to share about how past actions, in this case specifically related to the logging operation, did significant damage to a portion of the property, and what I'm talking about is significant damage to the soil. Prior to Jay and Jenny purchasing the property, the landowner had clear cut about 80 of the 90 acres, and those 80 acres were planted pines. This area had been a loading deck for the logging operation, and inappropriate actions had resulted in intensive, extreme erosion. Much of the soil in this area was absolutely bare. There were no plants and therefore no root structures to hold the soil in place or protect the soil from wind and rain erosion. Being left bare, paired with the previous compaction from the logging operation, all that heavy equipment, had totally destroyed the soil structure. It was just chemical particles, packed on top of each other. There were no pores, no earthworms moving through. Again, it was just like a sheet of rock. Almost like a recently disc field that had been rained on heavily. There were several rocks sticking up on a pedestal of dirt. Now, that rock had shielded that soil from getting hit by raindrops, almost like a roof, but everything around it where the rain had hit the soil had eroded away. Some of the gullies leading off from this area that was the logging deck were over 6 feet deep. 6 feet deep, 10, 12, 20 feet wide. Now think about this. The amount of dirt that's the thickness of a sheet of copy paper over an acre is a ton. There's about 200 sheets of paper per an inch, standard copy paper. 6 feet, 72 inches. 72 times 200, woo! Start adding that up and think about how many tons have been eroded from this site and deposited in some creek bottom, working their way eventually down into the Mississippi and into the Gulf of Mexico. Healthy soil, and we've shared this with you in the past, appears like rich, dark chocolate cake, moist cake. It's almost a little fluffy. There's pore spaces all in there, and those pore spaces are where earthworms and other critters have made pores through there, or roots have decomposed and left those open channels for new roots to follow down to find nutrients and water. And the darkness is from carbon. Carbon is black, and when plants are actively pulling carbon out of the air, and that's kind of exuding or coming out of the root system and going into the soil, and carbon is critical for all those microbes in the soil. So dark, loose, moist soil is ideal soil for plants to grow in. And all those components that create that were gone from this piece of property. Obviously the water just ran off this place and carried a lot of sediment with it, but when you have healthy soil and all those pores, water infiltrates in. And we've shared infiltration tests here, put a steel ring around and pour water in and see how many inches can infiltrate per hour. Healthy soil can take 6, 8, 10 inches per hour into it. So even a harsh thunderstorm, there's no runoff. It's infiltrating in, and that chocolate cake type soil is holding it like a sponge, and that gets you through the drought period. That's how it was created to work. When we till, we disrupt that system, and soil settles down, gets hard on top, and water runs off. Remember, it's not how much rain you get in an area, it's how much rain infiltrates into your soil or how much rain you keep. Big difference between 8 inches of rain in Georgia and most of it running off down the river, or 20 inches in parts of Iowa, but all of it seeping into the soil. This is why I always advocate for having something growing on your soil year round. You can no-till in that standing crop and keep it covered, but when you've got active plants or roots are holding the soil in place and are pumping carbon in the air, every day it's warm enough for those plants to photosynthesize, that's how you build and maintain healthy soil. Disturbing the soil goes the other way and degrades the soil quality. Even on this property, we're standing at the moonscape or right at the head of the Grand Canyon there, and a few feet away, there was some native vegetation, some weeds, some Sericea lespedeza had been growing, and just within a few feet, the soil was much different and there was no sign of erosion. This is just a wonderful example. So 2 feet over here, 3 feet over here, there's native grasses and some exotic grasses that come in from, somebody's wind blowing seeds from someone's yard, but whatever, at least they're holding the dirt in place. This is the power of roots and the microbes associated with the roots. Look at the plant size, the plant density, how green the trees are. Look at the trees, how green they are. And then just step where you are.
Literally
7 feet. This is lime green. Can you tell that that's lime green? You may have to pull your sunglasses down, look at it. It's lime green.
You can tell.
And I'm looking at all kind, because there's no nutrients there. And all kind of bare dirt. And we just walked just a little bit further from those tree roots are carrying nutrients over here. Literally, not taking, carrying. And all of a sudden, we're in massive erosion. It looks like a moonscape out here. And that's the power of living vegetation. You've got to have the soil covered with vegetation. This is an exact reason I never want people to disc. Because although you got something growing X months out of the year, then you disc it and you set it back to moonscape. You kill all the life. Over there's life. And if we had a spade, we'd dig down, we'd probably find some beetles or earthworms or something over there. I promise you there's nothing here. It's like the moonscape.